So let's talk about digital night vision. Specifically, let's talk about affordable digital night vision. Now, today we're going to be doing a review on this Binock, I believe is how you pronounce it, NVG50. Now, from what I've seen, they make a couple different models. This is the more fancy version of the different models, but they do make other ones. You know, if you're interested, you can go to their website. And I will put links to all this stuff down below. I believe I get a discount code for y'all, and I will put that down below as well. But if you are interested in buying this, I highly recommend watching this entire video because there are a lot of, I would say, flaws or things that could be improved on. It also may not be exactly what you're looking for depending on what you want this specific night vision device to do, because it's not night vision in the traditional sense. It's basically a digital camera with better sensitivity and low light, for lack of better words. So it does record. It does technically work as night vision. However, if you're used to Gen 2 Plus or Gen 3 night vision devices, you're probably going to be disappointed with this thing if you want to use it like a traditional night vision device. All right, and before we get into the review, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for this video. Since you are watching this channel, you probably take security very seriously. While training and gear can help protect you and those you love from a variety of dangerous threats, there are other threats out there that you can't see. One of those threats is identity theft. My brother was recently a victim of a large data breach that affected a lot of people in his state. He was provided identity theft protection after the fact, but if he had protection prior to the breach, he would have been a lot more protected from people using his personal information. That's why this video is sponsored by Aura. Aura can help protect you from identity theft by monitoring your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points like the dark web, to alert you about potential identity theft. You also get $1 million in identity theft insurance to help cover eligible losses and fees. I use Aura so I don't leave myself or my family vulnerable to digital threats like data breaches. If you want to protect yourself from digital threats, you can go to aura.com/portac556 to try 2 weeks for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this channel so I can continue to bring you unbiased reviews. Please click the link to Aura in the description below if you want to help support this channel and get quality identity theft protection. I used it basically in the roles that I think most people would be interested in using something like this for. I'm not going to be a shill for digital night vision saying this is just as good as a PVS 14. You know, it's not. Anybody who tells you digital night vision is as good as analog is lying to you. They are not as good. They're getting better, and I was kind of impressed with this, at least for the price point. There are others out there like Psionics. I believe there is Opsin, I think, which is like $2,000, $2,500, something like that, is going to perform better than this thing will. But it's also, 4 or 5 times the price. And at that point, you may as well find a used pair of, or a used PVS 14, and may not have the best specs, but it'll still be significantly better than that. And it won't have any lag, which this thing, because it's digital, also suffers from. If you've ever used a digital camera of any kind, you know there's a little bit of a lag based on what you're looking at, because it has to, feed through everything and before it can get projected on a screen and then you see it. So there is going to be some lag with any style of digital camera or any digital night vision. And this is no exception. So there are some nice things about this, though. Again, I'm not going to cover all the features, but I do want to kind of go over the main points here. It does have 4 different color modes. Honestly, the green and the black and white are probably the best because the color isn't all that great, and I think it has like white phosphor. It's WP is what it's labeled as. It just looks like teal. It's weird, so I don't like that. It does have IPX7 waterproof rating, so that's good. It does handle recoil on a 5.56 just fine, which I did mount it on my rifle. You'll see footage here in a little bit of me shooting with this thing. I actually shot during the daytime because this does say nighttime and daytime use is okay. Long story short, it takes in too much light to be useful during the daytime. At dusk and dawn, when it's not super bright outside, it's fine. Or if you're in a shaded area and you're not looking directly into sunlight, it's fine. Or if, like, say you're in the woods where the sun doesn't quite get all the way down to the ground, it would probably work okay there. But if you're in like a field, or like I was, looking more or less into the sun is just going to absolutely blind this thing to where it can't see anything.
As you can see, I had to use duct tape to surround this because the sun is shining directly into this, and it's just too bright for this camera. I've shined it over in the other directions, and it's still too bright as well. So it says you can use it in daylight, but you can't really use it in daylight. Now, if you use a sunshade, it's usable, but it's not great. So it is for, you know, low light and nighttime. So hopefully I didn't fry anything. I guess we'll find out. See if it'll hold 0. Or, well, let's see if I can 0 it, because the reticle on the inside is digitally gets moved. And it's not like fine adjustments, it's kind of large. So, I don't know. We'll see. Well, there's dust behind where I'm shooting, so I hit something.
All right, so me firing quickly. Aim point is here. I hit here. That's actually a pretty good group. That's respectable. So it seems like it's holding 0. All right, so here's the issue I have with it so far. That's how far the adjustments are. So this was my first group. I adjusted it 1 click, or just yeah, literally 1 click over. I don't know what the value for that was. It just has X and Y axis, but this is where it's at now. It is holding 0. This is at 100 yards. That's roughly a 3-inch group. And for only having 4-power magnification on a LCD screen that I can't really see all that well, I'm just kind of holding right here. I'd say that's pretty good. So I think it's holding 0. Let's go shoot it at 300 yards and see kind of what that does. Record. All right, so it looks like it held 0. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4 was the original before I shot about 40 rounds. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one was probably just me pulling it. The barrel's heating up, the suppressor's heating up, like everything's hot now. And so you're good to get a little bit of shift. And considering it was just, what is that? Maybe 2 inches you might get from a shift from just the everything heating up. Considering they're all pretty much within a fist at 100, I'm going to say that's probably, because again, with that reticle of 4X, these are probably just me not having a good, you know, sight picture, trigger pull, whatever, because it's not exactly, you know, a fine precision scope. So I'm going to call that accurate enough. If you can hit a hand basically at 100 yards, I think that's probably good for, you know, for hunting and everything, but they really need to change it to where the adjustments are more, because this is, again, every click, you went from here to here. That's about the distance of a hand. So if you're cool with that, then great. But I would like to see them, at the very least, make it where it adjusts by 5 to where, you know, you could have here. So, you know, 3 inches at 100 yards isn't as bad. But in reality, they need to make it, you know, 1-click adjustments, because you could have 10 clicks to actually fine tune it. Because if you're going to have a reticle, make it to where you can actually adjust it. So if you're going to use this for, say, hunting or something else like that, you're going to want to get an IR laser to use with this. And if you use this in conjunction with an IR laser, and I'll throw in footage here of me doing stuff with this thing, because I did show you IR illumination and IR laser with this, and it does work well with an IR illuminator and with an IR laser. So if you have an IR laser and you want to go hunting, this would be a good option to put on your rifle. Again, though, the reticle on the inside is basically just kind of a backup emergency. If for whatever reason you're out hunting and your IR laser takes a crap on you, then you at least have something that you can aim with, as long as you know, again, you're going to have to Kentucky windage it just a little bit. One thing I will say about the features, I like that it has, you know, a micro SD card in there. It fits, and you can charge it with that port. I think that's a nice touch. instead of having to take the batteries out of here, which they do use small rechargeable batteries that are not CR123, so just know that. The buttons on here are very clicky. You can hear it. It's very, very clicky, which is not a problem, but I mean, if you're trying to be quiet, you know, I guess it might be. The buttons are intuitive. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details on how to use this thing. You can look up their manual online. It will show you all the features that it does have. It does have an IR illuminator that works well enough for like reading and like seeing things up close. That does work fine. You can adjust the front and back here depending on, you know, your eyesight and then how far away you're looking at things. I do actually like this rubber piece that it comes with here because it keeps your eye from getting smacked by this thing whenever your gun recoils, which I put mine on a 5.56. I wouldn't recommend putting it on anything higher than that, but I wanted to test that to see if it lost zero, and it did not. And I wanted to see if it would break, which it did not. Now again, showing footage here. I tried shooting at 300 yards at a steel plate, and I believe the steel plate is about a foot wide and like, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet tall, something like that, at 300 yards, and I was not able to get hits on it, or if I did, I couldn't tell, because it does have 4 power magnification zoom, so you can go from 1, 2, 3 to 4 power magnification, which again I'll show you, and it's actually pretty decent. It's a pretty good when it comes to a digital camera. Like, it has pretty good clarity, which I do appreciate. Now on the different settings, it has 4. It has lower quality like video footage, but it has a faster frame rate, or you can get a better quality footage. I think it's like 2K or something, or maybe 4K, I don't remember. I'll again insert it down below. But whenever you do that, the frame rate goes down, and it depends on what you want. So if you want high quality footage, and you don't need super low light capabilities, like it's a very well lit night, then you can use, you know, the faster frame rate. But just know you're going to get a worse image. If you use the lower quality, you can get a faster frame rate that will make it a little bit less awkward to move around with. So say you use the 60 frames per second, it's going to be less like noticeable that you're looking through a digital camera. It's still noticeable. You can't use this thing helmet mounted, which I'll talk about now. I did mount it on a helmet and tried to walk around with it for a little bit, and all the videos that show you, you know, stuff in this category and this price range, walking around with the helmet mounted, they're lying to you. You're not going to be running and kicking indoors with this thing. It's going to be laggy, and it's not by a lot, like it's just by a split second, but it's enough to where you're going to aim, overshoot your target, then have to come back, overshoot and come back again, and it's just annoying. If you've never used analog night vision, then you might be able to get away with it. And could you do it? Technically, yes. Would I recommend it? Absolutely not. Again, this to me is something that is either, you know, handheld or going to be mounted on a rifle, which again, I think is a pretty good option when it comes to this thing for hunting, or if you just want something dedicated on a rifle. So you can set it to where it has a higher frame rate. Honestly, I wouldn't bother even doing that, because anything you're going to be doing if you're stationary and it's on a rifle doesn't require that fast frame rate. So you can lower it down to like 40, I think is what the sweet spot that I use it on. And I think you can have 40 frames per second with the higher quality image. And whenever I did that, it was pretty much the best setting. I left it on that because it takes in more light. Again, I'm not, you know, I don't know how all this stuff works, but I do know that on the 40 frames per second option, it did take in more light, and it worked better as a night vision device because it took in more light. And I'll show you a comparison of what it looks like on those two different things, looking at the same location under the same light conditions. Now, I will say the light conditions I was looking at whenever I walked through like the wooded area behind my house, there was no moon, but there was like kind of hazy cloud cover that was reflecting some of the city lights back down on us. So I would say in reality, and plus there's a bunch of like, you know, churches and businesses and stuff that have outdoor lighting that was kind of shining through the trees. So I would say probably about a half moon illumination. If you're just out in the woods somewhere, it's about what this condition was. So take that for what it's worth. It was not useless, but you're going to need IR illumination. So I would put this on par. It's somewhere around Gen 1 night vision, if you've ever used Gen 1 night vision, but slightly better, because it doesn't need that IR illumination as long as you're using the slower frame rate. You can kind of see well enough. Now, whenever I recorded this, I believe when I walked through the woods, and again, you'll see this, I was using the higher frame rate because you need it in order to move around and not get sick. So just know that that video footage that I'll insert would be slightly brighter if you're using the lower frame rate. So just take that for what it's worth. But it's not significant. Again, I'll show you pictures of what the difference between the two looks like. Hopefully the same thing over here. Look at that light with this camera versus with that camera. Significant difference. I can see all the way through that tunnel with the regular night vision. I can't see a thing with the digital. Also walking. Let's just do this. Hopefully I'm aiming these in the general same direction. Right now, there is light coming from over here, shining this clearing. So with my eyes, I can kind of see what's going on, because there is some light pollution because there's a lot of cloud cover out tonight. So these are probably about the best conditions that you're gonna see. So recording. Yeah, you can't see anything. All right, so I can actually see more with my eyes at this point than this one can. So here's a good idea. See what's over there? Yeah. So here's a good idea. See the sky? That's a path. Same path, Gen 3, NVGs. So, is it better than nothing? Yes. And sorry, you're just gonna be staring at a box, but it does have an external battery pack plug-in port here. So if you want to buy their external battery pack and plug it in on the back of your helmet, or tape it to the back of your helmet as a counterweight, you could do that. Again, I would not recommend using this for helmet mounted. I haven't charged it since I got it. I charged it the one time all the way, and I've been using it for a little while, and it's still hasn't even gone down in battery power. So I think the battery power, again, is mentioned in here. You can look all of that information up for yourself. I highly suggest an IR light if you're going to use this. It doesn't need one as long as you have good, the moon's out, or you're in an environment where, there's maybe a little bit of lighting, from street lights or, whatever, or you're at a range that maybe lets you shoot at night, something like that. As long as you have some side illumination, it does work. But again, it works best with IR illumination, similar to Gen 1. Now, whether this is something that is worth buying for you or for me is going to be two different things. For me, since I don't hunt, I probably would not get one of these just because I don't hunt. Now, that said, I will use it for recording footage at the range. And that is one other thing I forgot to mention that this would be useful for, is if you go to the range and you like shooting at night, say you have somewhere that you can go out with your buddies and go shooting with night vision and everything, this would be a good option to record stuff. You could mount it on your helmet and just kind of use it as a recording device, and you could just tape up one side of it if you really wanted to, and then use PVS 14 on the other side for actual shooting. That's something you could do. So if you like shooting night vision a lot and you want to record it, this would be a pretty good option for that as well. But mostly, I would say if you're a hunter and you are interested in hunting at night, or you want to, just control pests, like one of the guys I work with, he was looking for something like this because he was looking to shoot like coyotes and stuff that are getting on his property and whatnot. So, something like this, I think would be perfect for that. And again, it's only around $400, $450, somewhere in that range. Oh, again, discount code down below. And for that price, I think it's well worth it. There are other options out there that are similar to this, and they would probably be fine too. But using this and knowing it held up to recoil on my rifle and did not break, I think is a good, solid thumbs up for this. So if you have any questions, let me know down below, and I will answer every single one that I can. Again, hopefully you found this useful and it wasn't just an advertisement like a lot of other channels do. And also, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, because that really does help.